Great. Thank you so much for coming. You all okay? What happens when we teach about Bodhicitta? When you hear about Bodhicitta? You all came back. I thought last time it was not such an easy topic that we were talking about, but you came back anyway, right? Why is that?
Sagar has got his all ice cream.
What is that?
Sagar has got ice cream for all.
Oh, yes, ice cream.
He is not happy with the ice cream.
He's not happy with the ice cream.
Day before yesterday, I offered him ice cream. He said, no, I don't.
Really?
But I had it yesterday.
You had it yesterday. Good. Yes. So in these evenings, we have an opportunity to inspire our mind with respect to generating bodhicitta. And the bodhicitta mind is a mind praised by all Buddhas. You know, there is no more beautiful mind than the mind of bodhicitta. It is a mind that gives happiness to all sentient beings, including the one who is generating that mind of bodhicitta. And if we think of all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, you know, their main concern is with sentient beings. So when there is someone in the world who is generating bodhicitta, who sincerely wishes to make all these sentient beings happy, you know, the Buddhas are happy, right? Because that is what they want. So we become like a tool of the Buddhas, right? We can be used by the Buddhas in order to fulfill their purpose, which is making sentient beings happy. So yesterday we spoke about how we can create a healthy basis in our mind for developing bodhicitta, that we need to create a foundation that is going to last for a long time, and that is not going to, so that our mind not is going to come up with something like, but what about me then? Right? When we start taking care of all sentient beings, there is this I inside that says, well, what about me? Who's taking care of me? How do I take care of me? Right? So sometimes then we do bodhicitta, and then sometimes we go home and we do me. Right? But real bodhicitta is that whether we are with other sentient beings or whether we are home, the heart is open to everyone. Everyone, all sentient beings, including ourselves, all the time. So we don't have to have a heart with sentient beings and a heart when we are home with ourselves. Right? So that is the beauty of bodhicitta, and that is something that is very difficult for us to imagine how that works. Right? But we'll go into that deeper today so that you really feel like, oh, I can do that, you know, because it can sound so like working against yourself, you know, and doing something that you have to sacrifice all the time, and other people only get happiness, and you sacrificing feels for us like I'm going to suffer and they're all going to be happy, you know. And so when you have a mind like that, you're going to be scared of generating bodhicitta. But if we really understand that actually it's not like that, what we think is based on the way our mind is working at the moment. Right? That mind is very limited. That mind cannot see reality as it is. Right? So what we are thinking about bodhicitta and what it would mean to us cannot be valid, because we do not have the mind that can think in the way a bodhisattva thinks. Right? Not yet. Not yet. So we have to go through all the steps so that we can see. Until we get it. And until we say like, oh, okay, now I feel safe to really develop that mind. I know now that when I develop the bodhicitta mind that takes care of the benefit of all sentient beings, that is in my best interest. That there is no discrepancy between taking care of others and taking care of myself. Right? We have to come to that conclusion. Then we can do it. So maybe we start with setting a good motivation. Just giving ourselves a few minutes to relax, to really come to the present moment, letting go of whatever has kept us busy today, not yet thinking about what we're going to do after this evening. And the best way to get to that place in your mind is by just focusing on the body. And allowing all your energy, all your mental energy to be with your body, to be fully present in this moment. And then to help us set the motivation, I'll read a little bit for you. When we cherish ourselves, our mind is obsessed and continuously wonders, how can I be happy? How can I be free of problems? And when we investigate that mind, we can see that there is no happiness in our heart, only fear and worry. We see only problems and our mind is not relaxed. That is exactly the self-cherishing mind. So then when we meet someone, a friend, and he's telling about his problems, and we change our concern to that friend, suddenly our heart is released from the bondage of the self-cherishing thought. There is suddenly peace in our heart. We are not bound by our selfishness anymore. So focusing on others is the best way to let go of that self-cherishing mind. Being concerned with the happiness of others is the best way to let go of that self-cherishing mind. And so therefore in Buddhism it says real happiness in life starts when we cherish others. Living our life for others, cherishing them with loving kindness and compassion is the door to happiness. So do we still have that mind that feels like, what about me? How do I going to get what I need? When we hear this, I saw it in my mind. How are you going to do that? So what is our worry? How do I going to get what I need? Yes.
How do I fulfill the duties or expectations?
How do I fulfill my duties?
How do I get
How do I get
what I desire?
what I want, what I desire? Do we get what we desire with our attachment? Do you know now how you get what you desire?
No, I don't think I can guess it without attachment.
No, but can you get it with attachment?
I mean, if they're reasonable goals,
If
they're reasonable goals, perhaps yes.
if the reason, I don't
If the goal, if they're reasonable, what you're looking to achieve
right,
are
right. If
reasonable,
it's not too big, then you can get things. Things you have to go out and get it, or are things coming to you?
I think I find it is important to let the latter happen.
To let it happen.
To let it happen in order to be able to.
Right. So you already know that you don't go out to get it, but you let it happen.
But not only let it.
But not only let it happen. You need to do something for that. Like what?
I mean, what kind of things are we talking about?
Anything.
I mean, you have to make some sort of sincere effort in being able to achieve that.
Hmm.
But at the same time, try and not get in your own way.
Mhm.
And that is difficult.
So you have to create
Sincerity is
some
difficult as
causes.
well, right?
You have to create some causes and conditions for it to
Exactly.
happen. Right. So how do we get what we need? And what else are we worried about? Something else? Are we worried about how to protect ourselves? Also, how do we do that without aversion, without anger? Right? These are the concern of the self-cherishing mind. We somehow believe that our self-cherishing mind is the way to finding happiness. Emotionally, we believe that. At the same time, when we check, we have to say, I actually do not exactly know how to find happiness. Right? Sometimes, yes, it is there, and sometimes it's not there. And I'm not sure why it is sometimes there and sometimes not there. But we still believe that we need to use our attachment and aversion in order to get what we want and be free of what we don't want. But we're not really successful, but we still believe it. So there is, I think that's a kind of a contradiction. Right? If our method to find happiness was really good, was really working, it should work every time.
But this happiness comes naturally.
From where?
If you are naturally in your own way.
From where?
From where?
Yeah.
From our action.
From your actions.
Yeah.
Which actions?
A temporary happiness that you can achieve by, if I do this, I'll be happy. I'll be happy. That you can achieve on with your efforts.
Right. That's attachment, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there is a happiness when you engage in actions, like the action of giving. It's a happiness that comes with the action.
Action of giving, and if you feel that somebody can benefit with your help, you just do it.
You help
Then
somebody. Then happiness comes.
naturally.
That happiness comes naturally, right? Yeah. That is the happiness I think Bodhisattvas experience. Every time they do something for somebody, the happiness comes. The way we find happiness, we go out, we want to experience something. Right? It's like, oh, I win a lot of money in the lottery, that makes me happy. But that happiness is very different from the happiness when we give something away.
And secondly, when, as you said, that we help somebody, if you do it with the aim that if I help, I will be happy, then that's not the way.
That doesn't
It
work.
comes naturally.
Yes, yes, yes. But if we do not have that mind naturally, we need to exercise that mind, right? So for a while, it might be not completely natural. It might be a little bit artificial, but that is sometimes how we start practicing, right? Then when we're good in it, then it starts coming naturally.
I think usually helping somebody comes with an asterisk. It says that you're expecting something in return. And if those expectations are fulfilled, I mean, if they are not, then obviously their happiness is, to an extent, it doesn't come as a full-fledged reward unless those conditions are met, which we expect somebody else, while we are helping them, to be fulfilled.
Oh, wait. I'm getting lost in all the words. Say that again. Say that again.
Somebody comes with.
Are you having
certain
expectations when you give?
Yeah.
You have expectations when you give.
Not always, but sometimes.
Sometimes.
And
yes.
I think that's natural for anyone. A lot of people have expectations when they're giving something.
But that a lot of people have it doesn't make it natural.
Good point.
Good point, right? That we all have this bad habit doesn't make it natural. Is it really part of the nature of our mind? According to Buddhism, no. These expectations are coming from not really understanding the nature of the mind and the nature of reality. Yes. I'm trying to address the fact that when we speak about the self-cherishing mind and letting go of the self-cherishing mind, that we have this thing inside that says, right? So yesterday we spoke about creating a healthy basis for the Bodhicitta mind. And so we went through the Lamrim and we spoke about the being of small capacity and the being of medium capacity. And the medium of excuse me, the being of medium capacity is so afraid of all the sufferings of samsara that he or she says, I want to be free of samsara. I want to be free of. So what is the cause of samsara? Karma and delusions. How do I become free of karma and delusions? By understanding the nature of reality. Right? The being of small capacity. Well, wait, so how do I going to be free so I need to understand the nature of reality. I need to see that the self, that is the root of samsara, that self that I hold on to, that doesn't exist in the way it appears to me. Right? And that we call the wisdom realizing emptiness. We need to develop that. Then, in the meantime, before we have realized that, we engage in practices. We engage in the practice of ethics, right? For instance, we take the vows of a manga, or we take other types of vows, the 8 Mahayana precepts. We take what is called the vows of individual liberation that are going to help us to be liberated from samsara, right? So we stop engaging in actions, first of all, that are harmful to others, right? Knowing that when I do harm, harm will come back to me, suffering will come back to me. So I stop doing that. Then I start practicing ethics in the sense of, for instance, when I take the 8 Mahayana precepts, I engage in practices where I try to let go of my attachment to things. Right? So we don't listen to music that day. We don't use wear jewelry or perfumes or anything that we now do out of attachment. We don't do that for one day. Right? Have you ever done that? No. With food. So you also have one meal that day. So you don't eat in the morning, you don't eat in the afternoon.
But more like not having sugar for 30 days.
Right. Not having sugar for 30 days. So when we do that with the motivation for the benefit of all sentient beings, right? Letting go of the things that we are attached to in order to purify our mind, right? What happens when we do that? How do we feel? Huh? You have never done it.
Powerful.
You feel powerful.
Yeah.
Have you done it? How do you feel after a day? In control of your own mind. How do you feel?
Lighter.
Lighter.
Space.
More space in the mind. You feel empowered. You feel empowered. So we're practicing letting go of our attachment. The self-cherishing mind goes like, don't want that. But when we check, we say, wow, I feel much better. I feel lighter. I feel more empowered. I feel in control. Right? So that's the result of doing these practices. But when we hear about it, we say, oh, no, you don't want to do that. I don't get what I need. Is that true? That when you take the 8 Mahayana precepts and you abstain from certain things, that you feel that I don't get what I need? No. You do.
You feel like you get what you need.
You give up what you need.
No, you get what you need.
You get what you need. You actually get what you need. You actually get what you need. Lama Zopa says, what sentient beings, because we say to him, right? But how do I get what I need? He said, what you need. Sentient beings need enlightenment. That's what they need. That's what they truly need, right? And when we start practicing it, we feel it. Oh, I feel so much better. But when we don't practice it, we go like, oh, no, I can't do that, right? So the practices of the medium scope practitioner gives you already the tools how to work with the self-cherishing mind. It doesn't attack the self-cherishing mind directly, but it does lessen your attachment and your aversion. And so therefore the strength of your self-cherishing mind. And things are coming to you. Right? So when we practice, so in order to practice bodhicitta, we first need to practice the practices or the realizations that we have in common with the small scope practitioner and the medium scope practitioner. We cannot just skip that. So we do all these practices that are there. And when we look at it, we feel quite good about them. And we feel quite safe about them. But when we start thinking about letting go, this, we say, oh no, how can I, right? So maybe we don't think that too much. We just meditate on impermanence and death. We engage in virtuous actions, right? And maybe that is already strong enough to give us the faith that we can also generate that bodhicitta mind, right? And I think the more practice we do, the more confidence we get in these practices. The more empowered we will start feeling. You know, then we have maybe the courage to engage there. So when we practice the medium scope, or when we practice the practices of a medium scope practitioner, we develop a mind that, first of all, practices ethics, and then concentration, and eventually wisdom. In order to become fully liberated from samsara, we need to realize the lack of inherent existence. We need to realize emptiness. We need to realize the nature of reality. Without realizing the nature of reality, there is no way that we can get out of samsara. Right? The motivation of the one who is freeing him or herself from samsara is, I want to be liberated from samsara. I want to be liberated from samsara. And then they realize the wisdom, then they generate the wisdom realizing emptiness. Bodhisattvas, they also want to become liberated from samsara, right? We also want to become free of suffering. Same motivation, right? This is where it starts. Yes, I want also to be liberated from samsara. But then we look around and we say, oh, but what about everybody else, right? I still want to be liberated from samsara. And I will engage in all the practices needed so that I become free from suffering. But I do it in a way that I can, at the same time, help all others to do the same thing. right? And in order to do that, our motivation for realizing emptiness comes from bodhicitta. So we realize we generate the mind that wishes to become free from, not that wishes to become free. We realize we generate a mind that wants to attain enlightenment, that wants to become completely free of all the obscurations so that we can be of greatest benefit to others. So as a bodhisattva, we also need to realize emptiness. When we realize emptiness as a bodhisattva, we are completely free of suffering. But we realize emptiness, that motivation to realize emptiness is not just because I want to be liberated, but I do that conjoined with great compassion, conjoined with bodhicitta. So that when I realize emptiness, which is conjoined with bodhicitta, right? That is called ultimate bodhicitta. And I think that is your dorje on the moon disc. Is that right? Right. So that is the wisdom realizing emptiness conjoined with bodhicitta. When we conjoin the wisdom realizing emptiness with bodhicitta, that realization becomes extremely powerful. And so that realization has the capacity to not only eliminate all the disturbing emotions from the mind, but also all the imprints of the disturbing emotions. The disturbing emotions is what pops up in our mind and disturbs the mind, right? Our attachment and aversion and all the disturbing emotions that come from that. The imprints of the disturbing emotions are the appearances of true existence and the appearance of subject and object, but mainly the appearance of true existence. Everything appears to me as real, right? That, if I generate the wisdom realizing emptiness with the motivation just for my liberation alone, that realization doesn't have the power to eliminate these imprints. So then we still have the appearance of true existence. So, yes, do you get it? I'm saying it may be a little bit confusing.
Despite realizing and wisdom of emptiness, you still wouldn't actually realize it. In a sense.
No, you do.
You're saying because you're not truly sort of, I mean, those imprints of disturbing emotions.
You don't remove the imprints of the disturbing emotions.
Because you think, because you haven't totally understood the.
Because your realization of emptiness doesn't have the power to eliminate these imprints.
So you have realized that they're not completely.
Yes.
Wisdom of emptiness.
Yes. When you realize emptiness, you realize emptiness. That is a complete realization. But the realization is not strong enough to eliminate all the imprints, all the leftovers. Huh? Emptiness is not the final destination. We are encouraged to not just realize emptiness. We are encouraged to realize emptiness with the bodhicitta mind, so that it has the most power. So when we realize emptiness with a motivation that we just want to become liberated from samsara, right? That emptiness will do its job. It will liberate us from samsara. But we have not fulfilled our highest destination. We have not generated everything, all the qualities that we could generate. Right? That is only possible when we have that realization in conjunction with bodhicitta.
That emptiness can be realized even without having
For sure. So someone who says, I'm so sick of samsara, I want to be free of samsara. And I'm going to do that for me alone. You know, such a person has to realize emptiness. and frees him or herself from samsara. Right? But then frees only one sentient being. Then they also help others, right? It is not that they don't help at all, but the capacity for helping will not be developed to its fullest extent. So you cannot exactly see where somebody came from in his past lives, what inclinations they have, what kind of teachings they need in order to get to the next stage, you know. So these qualities are not fully developed. If we want to realize the full potential of a mind, the only way that we can do it is if when we remove all the mistaken perceptions. Right? Only then, when the mind is completely clear of all the mistakes, can we realize our full potential. And that we can only do when we generate bodhicitta. All right, so but with respect to that, so in the philosophy in Tibetan Buddhism, we say that eventually everyone has to become enlightened. Right? Because we all have this wish to be happy and to be free of suffering. And so when you develop the mind that attains nirvana or liberation, then basically what you're doing is you meditate the whole day. You're sitting in this bliss of nirvana, the peace of nirvana, and you just enjoy it and you just enjoy it. But then one day the bodhisattvas knock on your door and they say, hey, you have not finished yet. You know, you haven't finished your own journey. There is still, and also you haven't finished the journey for others. Right? So come out of your meditation and generate bodhicitta. And so these beings, they are used to the bliss of the meditation, and then they have to go back and generate bodhicitta. And they're so habituated to sitting in the bliss of their own well-being. Bodhicitta becomes extremely difficult, you know, even if they try, you know, within no time they go again, enjoying that bliss, right? So they need to be called again and again. Come on, you have to. So what they advise us is it's easier to, from the beginning, to go into the path of the Bodhisattva, right? So that you don't get used to the bliss. Right? So in the beginning, it can seem to be harder because we have to generate bodhicitta mind. But once we have it, we're actually on the very fast path.
So liberation of self and others together.
Yeah.
Is that the ultimate potential of mind?
Yes. The ultimate potential of the mind is that we the way it is said is that we remove all the mistakes from the mind. Right? Then we realize we can only do that when we realize all the qualities that can be developed. And when we do that, we call that full enlightenment. And then we have the best capacity to help others. Right? But can I help everybody? You know, could Shakyamuni Buddha help everybody? He helped many, many, many beings, but not everybody. So they say everyone has their own connections with sentient beings. Right? There are sentient beings that only you can liberate when you become a Buddha, and nobody else. Right? So therefore, you have to do that. But I cannot say, when I achieve enlightenment, then I will liberate all sentient beings. I can say it as an aspiration, right? But whether it will happen also depends upon the other person, on the karma of the other person, on my karma that I have with that person.
But liberation of others is the ultimate tool for mind.
To focus on that, yeah, working for the benefit of all sentient beings, yes. Yes. That's the highest aspiration that we can have. The most strong motivation. to engage in actions. Yes. Can I just look at the chat? I can't open the chat. I feel so stupid. So it shows the chat. Can somebody help me? Good evening. So somebody says, doesn't the generation of the wisdom of emptiness automatically generate bodhicitta? As with realization of emptiness, all duality cease, and we see the interdependence and interconnected with all beings, and bodhicitta and compassion for all beings is just a resultant. You can discuss that, right? And you can debate that. If that is 100% true, then it would mean that there are no Hinayana practitioners, right? If bodhicitta automatically comes when we realize when we realize emptiness, then there cannot be any Hinayana practitioners, and we know that that is not true. But it does say that once we realize emptiness, we know that we have been in this existence since beginningless lifetimes, and we know that we have been taking rebirth since beginningless time. So we have taken rebirth with each and every sentient being, maybe not one time, maybe many times, right? So then how can you not generate bodhicitta when you realize emptiness, right? So that is a question that is asked, how can you? What kind of mind do you have when you cannot realize bodhicitta? Because within the realization of emptiness, you can see reality as it is, you know, so you can see that we have a connection with each and every sentient being. So then who are you to say, but I'm just going to do this for myself? But it doesn't mean that everyone generates bodhicitta when they realize emptiness. No.
Because emptiness is actually non-conceptual and compassion is conceptual.
Emptiness can also be realized conceptually, right? It is first realized conceptually before we realize it without a conception. There are people who are inclined to walk the Hinayana path, and there are people who have an inclination for the Mahayana path. That inclination has been there also, you know, for lifetimes. It is not something that we can just change, right? We have that inclination. So there are people who feel attracted to the Mahayana path, and there are people who say they feel not attracted to the Mahayana path. They want to do the Hinayana path. And actually, you know, the people on the Hinayana path, they say the Mahayana, that's completely made up by human beings. You know, that's not really a teaching from the Buddha. We do not have the capacity to become Buddhas. That is a complete illusion. This is, these Mahayanas, they are deluded. Right? This is what they say. They have a different inclination. And some say that inclination is there from the beginning. Right? So we cannot change that. So therefore, we should also not look down on people, right, who do the Hinayana. Although we are, you know, we are in the Mahayana, we are asked to please enter into the Mahayana path. Don't take the Hinayana path. But it doesn't mean that we should look down. The teachings are trying to activate your potential for the Mahayana lineage, right? And if you have that inclination somewhere in your mind, they want to touch that so that it becomes activated and that you start generating bodhicitta. But if it's not there, it's not there, right? Then we still go down and say how amazing that you can liberate one sentient being from all suffering. right?
Mm.
Yes.
But nevertheless, there is metta in Theravada. The moment there is compassion, I mean, the root from compassion is to Bodhicitta. So how would that work out?
So the root for Bodhicitta is compassion.
And for Theravada also, they have teachings on compassion.
And they have teachings on compassion. So in the Theravada, they also meditate on the 4 immeasurable thoughts, right? And they say, may all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free of suffering and the causes of suffering. They do that, right? But they don't say, I will free all sentient beings from suffering and the causes. I will give all sentient beings happiness and its causes. They don't say that, right? There is the difference. So they have compassion. And some people say they have great compassion. If great compassion is that all sentient beings are included, they have that great compassion. So they wish that to sentient beings. What they do not have is the wish to protect sentient beings. You know, that is the Bodhisattva. They say, I'll do that. I'll step in. I'll prevent you from falling into the raven. I'll help you. They don't do that.
Without that, what is compassion?
Compassion is the wish for someone to be free of suffering and its causes. Right? So when the Bodhicitta mind, there is taking responsibility yourself, on yourself. I will do it. I will take care of everyone. This the Hinayana practitioner doesn't say. They say, are you crazy? How can we? So they have a lot of compassion, right? Some people say, oh, the Hinayana practitioner, they have no compassion. That's not true. They have a lot of compassion. They just don't have that last step that the Bodhisattva takes. Right? They're beautiful minds, you know, they're beautiful minds. We have to check, right? So these are different teachings of the Buddha. And I think some people, they arrive here and they hear the Mahayana teachings. So they must have some connection with that. And other people, they would never go to the teachings of the Mahayana, never. They have no pull in themselves to go there. And they go to Theravada and they practice there and they feel perfectly okay. And the way they speak there about us, you know, it's like, what? They're narcissistic. I don't know. They have their own ways of talking about this, right? And it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Right? We all want to achieve the best that we can. Whether that is Hinayana, Mahayana, doesn't really matter. Right? If your inclination is Hinayana, then that is the best you can do. If your inclination is Mahayana, you say, oh, I'm going to do the easy path, I don't think you would ever be really happy. I think you would always know, like, what about my mom? You know? So let's talk about some benefits of bodhicitta, right? Because there must be a reason. We must be inspired somehow that we say, I wanna do that. I can see that there is a lot of merit in it, and there is a lot of merit in it. So with bodhicitta, they say in order to become a Buddha, we need to generate 3 countless great eons of merit. Right? Which sounds like, oh, that's a long time. Right? But with bodhicitta, it doesn't take that long in time. We go very, very, very fast. Because with bodhicitta, we create so much merit with every action that we're doing. Right? If I do an action of giving and I give you an apple, right? And I really want to give you that apple, and I just give you that apple because I feel like it, nothing else. right? So I don't really have a bodhicitta motivation, but I just give you an apple. So the result of that is that in one of my future lifetimes, something similar will come back to me, right? Maybe you give me an apple and then you repay that karma. So the merit that we gain by just giving something to somebody comes back to us one time, and it comes back. Once it has come back, karma is finished, right? The merit that we have generated is finished. Huh? Neutralized, yeah, gone. When we have a bodhicitta mind, then when I give you an apple, I think in my mind, I wish I could give this to all sentient beings. In my mind, I'm giving it to you, but I give it also to all sentient beings. So the merit that I generate is not just the merit from giving an apple to one person. It is the merit of giving one apple to all sentient beings, to numerous sentient beings, right? So that merit becomes huge of doing just one thing because of my mind. Huh?
But it is just a wish. We're not actually doing it.
All sentient beings, it's difficult, right? But it is a sincere wish. Besides that, if I give an apple, when I give an apple and I think about bodhicitta and I generate the mind of bodhicitta that wishes to become enlightened for the sake of all sentient beings, me giving that apple doesn't ripen one time, right? So it's what we said before, if I'm an ordinary being and I give an apple, then one time that apple comes back, then karma finished. But when I have a bodhicitta motivation and I give the apple in order so that it becomes a cause for me to attain enlightenment, then that action of giving will come back to me again and again and again and again until I achieve enlightenment. So it bears fruit again and again, again and again. Right? If my wish is to become enlightened, my mind is very far in the future. Then whatever actions I'm doing in order to attain that action will bear fruit again and again until I'm there. So they say bodhicitta is like a tree that keeps giving fruit, keeps giving fruit. Right? Not just one time, again and again and again, until we achieve the result. So that is an amazing benefit that we would have, right? If we have bodhicitta. Yes.
You have options to give it 10 people, but you just want to give 5 because it's like the other side is not deserved or not.
I do an action of giving, but I don't want to give it to these people because they don't deserve it, right? So we could already wonder, is that a bodhicitta motivation? Huh?
No, there's only action of giving.
There's
Not to
only
decide. We are not to decide whether the person deserves it or not.
we are not the one to decide whether somebody deserves it or not. But you could wonder, is that a mind of a bodhisattva, right? Is there equanimity in that mind? Obviously not, right? So we will talk later about how to develop that equanimity. Because at the moment, the way our mind functions, there are people that we feel, oh, I like you, you know, and you have done something for me, you deserve that. And other people, oh, no, you are not nice to me, you don't deserve that, right? This is our biased mind. This is a great obstacle to developing bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is only just worried about, not worried, it's not even worried. It's only thinking about giving. Not to whom? Unconditional giving. Unconditional giving. Lama Zopa was known for that, right? Unconditional giving. His giving was so automatic, so natural, that one time, long time ago, in the hippie time, they did a long life puja for Lama Zopa and Lama Yeshe together to pray for their long life. And so what happens is that the students make money offerings to both of them. And so after the puja, Lama Yeshe said, Lama Zopa had already gone. Lama Yeshe said, where are the offerings from Zopa? And somebody says, oh, he took it to his room. He said, go and get it. And so some students, they were running to his room. And then they saw two geshes coming out, very happy with the envelopes. So they knew, Lama Zopa is going to get offerings. We're going to go and talk to him because we need some money. And then Lama Zopa would just give it. Whoever was first, he would just give it. Right? His nature of giving was so automatic. Just give it. And he would never wonder, oh no, you don't deserve that. I'm going to give it to them. He didn't have any of these thoughts. Right? So he's only concerned with how do I develop my mind? By giving. When I start minding my business there, which is not my business, what they have done and not done, I lose my own objective, right? I lose my own goal.
So maybe in our capacity, we can start with at least 5 people and then build up to.
But you want to get rid of the mind that thinks, but they don't deserve it. Right? Yes, you can start with 5 people. That's no problem. But this mind that excludes people, that is the biggest obstacle to bodhicitta. That we really have to address, because we somehow feel that we are in control when we do that, right? Oh, I decide where my money is going to go. But in actuality, you're not in control at all. Your aversion is in control. Your anger is in control. Not you. Everyone, but not you. That is the biggest obstacle to bodhicitta. Whoever we put there, not you. We should put them in front and say, only to you. You're the most special person. Independence on you, I'm going to develop bodhicitta. Right? Not on all the people that you like. They don't help you. They can also help you somehow, But the person who really helps us to develop bodhicitta is the one that we have most difficulty with. Because when we include that person in our heart, our bodhicitta becomes complete. Right? Good. So what other benefits are there? So we accumulate a huge amount of merit. And when we have this bodhicitta mind, and that mind is there in an uncontrived manner, then even when we sleep, we have this mind, right? Even when we sleep, the mind is motivated by wishing to benefit all sentient beings, which means that even when we sleep, we are accumulating merit. Wow, fantastic, isn't it? Even when we sleep. That is one of the reasons why we, for instance, take vows. When you take vows, even when you sleep, you are creating merit. Right? So that helps us to go very fast. And so if we look into the benefits, we can say that bodhicitta benefits ourselves and others. There is no other mind that can do that. Other minds, they work for others or for self. They actually work always for self. But it can appear as if they work for others, right? They only work for others when it is in the benefit of self. Right? But bodhicitta, when it works, it is always working for the benefit of self and the benefit of others. There is no conflict in that. Right? When my goal is to make other people happy, And that gives me the most happiness when other people are happy, right? Then when I make other people happy, I fulfill my own goal of becoming happy as well. I can never suffer from that, right? Unless there is something not completely pure in my motivation. But otherwise, it should be that if my goal is to become enlightened, to be of benefit to all sentient beings, and I am benefiting sentient beings, I come closer to my goal, so I should be more happy. I should be happy with that, right? That's my goal. It's like I'm successful in my business when I do that, right? When my business is generating the bodhicitta mind, helping all sentient beings, when I'm doing that, I am successful. It should give me some kind of happiness. Right? If it doesn't, I can see you guys. But I'm not always happy when I give to others, even if I'm right. Sometimes we get so tired of helping others and giving to others, right? But that is our own self-cherishing mind that is there nagging, not completely clear about your benefit that you receive. Right? It's a self-cherishing mind that is thinking about this life and about just now. And it cannot see that when we are pushed to do things for others and we have to stretch ourselves a bit, that is the most fantastic thing that can happen. Right? If we look at it like that, then it's like, oh, is that the most fantastic thing that can happen? So Kundal Lama Rinpoche says that if you desire to benefit others, you should cultivate bodhicitta. If you desire to benefit yourself, you should cultivate bodhicitta. If you wish to help yourself, generate bodhicitta. If you wish to help others, generate bodhicitta. If you want to serve the Dharma, generate bodhicitta. If you wish the path to happiness, generate bodhicitta. So by just working for the sake of others, there is no question that your own ultimate benefit will also be realized. That is the beauty of bodhicitta. When you feel there is a conflict, you have to check your motivation. There is still something that you feel that you need, that you're not receiving. Or maybe there's still something that you're receiving that you don't want, that you can't deal with. So you have to purify that. Right? Until we get to the place that we actually start feeling, I'm working for the sake of others. And it's actually the greatest benefit for myself as well. Right? No conflict. So with bodhicitta, all sentient beings are equal. It benefits all sentient beings equally. Right? So it is not, these 5 they are going to benefit these with my bodhicitta, but these 5 I won't, because they don't deserve me with my bodhicitta mind, right? This is not what we think. Also, it says with bodhicitta, when we have bodhicitta in the mind, it's more difficult for delusions to arise. Delusions cannot arise. Attachment and anger are not there because we are working for the benefit of others. Attachment and anger are only there when I work for the benefit of me. But if I change that, they do not arise. So when I work with bodhicitta, my mind gets subdued. Right? When I have bodhicitta in my mind and I am with others, also their mind becomes subdued. Right? People feel like, I become so peaceful when I'm with that person. And we could see that beautifully with Lama Zopa Rinpoche when he would, for instance, go somewhere where there were animals. Right? Animals immediately subdued. No barking, no going crazy, no, all calm. Because his mind was so subdued. when we are with other people in the space, you know, that is something in the human biology. We somehow pick up on what other people are feeling. We pick up on their state of mind. And when the powers are strong, we become similar than that, right? If everyone here would be in fear, it's very difficult not to feel any fear, right? Automatically, we start feeling the same and we think, what's going on? What's going on? I don't know what's going on. But actually, everyone was told a story before they came here that made them really scared, and you were not told that story. For instance, right? You will feel that and you will have the same reaction. This is how we work as human beings. But the opposite is also true when somebody is completely subdued, has a subdued mind, and we are in the presence of that person. Our minds also automatically subdued. Right?
Stress, and you can sense that fear the point you were. How do you rise about that? That you are calm, irrespective of your environment?
That's not something that you can do like that, right? If so if you are in a workplace, I just repeat it for the, I don't know if you guys can hear me, can hear what is said from the room in the back. But if you work, the question is, if you work in a workplace which where everyone is hectic and a little bit crazy, and then automatically you go into that. So how do you rise above that? I think that needs a lot of insight into what is yours and what is mine. You know, it is very difficult. When the body starts to react, our body will also react. So you need a lot of wisdom in order to see, oh, they're all a bit crazy. You know, oh, I can see how it affects my mind, but I'm not going to go there. I'm going to find, you know, and if you do a lot of meditation, you maybe have a space inside you where you get less affected and you connect with that. And I think actually the Bodhicitta motivation, but then coming with a very healthy basis, right? For that bodhicitta, that actually gives you the most power to deal with that. So much affected by what is coming from others. So any practice that we're doing, any Dharma practice that we are doing, empowers you, makes you stronger. And then you need to see, oh, this is theirs. It's coming, you know, and you need to understand how the mind works. And you need to understand how the mind works when we are in groups. And the moment you can see, oh, it's all coming from them, I get affected, but I do not want that. So what can I do so that I don't feel it so much? You know, then I think you're already doing quite well, right? And maybe you can somehow shorten the time that you're there. Maybe you can find a place where you take some distance. Maybe you go a little bit more often to the toilet and take 5 minutes off yourself, something like that. You become a little bit creative so that you limit the time that you share with them where you can. But it is very good to observe, right? Oh, it's happening. This is what is happening in me. What can I do about it? Very good. So the benefits of bodhicitta never end. And I think I already said that, you know, so when we do actions in relationship to others with the bodhicitta mind, then that action will have a result again and again and again and again until we are enlightened. Right? That is not when we do actions without bodhicitta motivation. Then also, whatever action we do, we create some merit, and that merit will ripen one day, but it only will ripen one time. With bodhicitta motivation, it will keep ripening until we achieve enlightenment. So that's fantastic, I think. right? And so with bodhicitta, bodhicitta is a very powerful way to purify our mind, right? I'm not sure, many of us do Vajrasattva practice in the evening to purify negativities. Are you doing that? Some people of you are doing that. We do Vajrasattva practice in order to purify the negativities that we have engaged in. When we do the purification practices with the bodhicitta mind, then the purification is so powerful, right? The fact that we have negativities in our mind comes from having done harmful actions towards others or in relation to others, right? We have engaged in harmful actions. We all have done that. So when we engage in harmful actions, we are very selfish. We either want to take away something from others, or we maybe want to harm others. When I generate a bodhicitta mind and I generate that independence on all sentient beings, I kind of promise that I want to benefit them. So by generating the opposite motivation as that we had when we engaged in the negative actions, we kind of delete, we purify these actions. Right? We have the opposite motivation. When I engage in actions under the influence of I want to benefit all sentient beings, and that motivation is sincere, then it is very difficult to have a thought, I'm going to harm this person. Right? The deluded mind cannot arise. It cannot. We create a habit of constantly thinking about benefiting others. So it becomes very difficult to harm a sentient being. Right? If we sincerely have the wish to be of benefit, that purifies negative actions that we have done in the past. Right? So that is one of the strongest ways to purify. Even what we call the 5 heinous crimes, the 5 heavy negative karmas, they can be purified with the bodhicitta mind. And so then another benefit of the bodhicitta mind is that it destroys the self-cherishing. Bodhicitta and the self-cherishing mind, they do not go together. If I have the mind that wishes to be, if it is my benefit to benefit all sentient beings, if it makes me happy to benefit all sentient beings, then the self-cherishing mind who says, oh no, I want to keep this for me, and cannot arise. Impossible. They cannot go together. Right? And what I just said at the beginning, when we think about, we are living our life and we thinking, oh, and I'm so concerned and I'm so worried, and how do I going to do this, and how do I going to get that, and I don't know how to do that. And then a friend comes and starts to talk about, oh, I just lost my mom, and immediately we are with the suffering of our friend. Immediately we are listening. What happens inside us with our worries? What happens with our worries? Quiet. Gone, right? Quiet, immediately quiet. Immediately we forget. Gone. Right? So being engaged with others, being fully present with others, we forget ourselves. When we forget ourselves, also the burden of being ourselves, of being with, is gone.
Yeah, like while watching a movie.
Yeah.
You just escape.
Like watching a movie, you escape. I would say that is a little bit different. Feeling the character and their feelings in the movie. But I don't think that, do you think that that is a antidote or counteracts the self-cherishing mind? Not really, no?
It is really like escape.
It is an escape. It is an escape, yeah. But when you attend your friend who just lost his mom and you are really listening to him, is that an escape for 3 hours? Do you say, you know what, I'm going to escape for 3 hours, I go and visit my friend who just lost his mom and I'm going to listen to him? No, it's not, right? It feels different. But when you are with that friend, you do lose yourself, right? You are fully present with what is going on for him, because somehow you feel what is going on for him is much more important than what's going on for me, right? So I be attentive to you. You forget yourself and you feel more free inside. True or not? Do you see that?
With no problems, then you're in trouble.
When we have a friend with no problems, we are in trouble.
Yes, because,
You know, if we look around, there are so many suffering sentient beings. I don't think
Always
there is
have
a lack of suffering sentient beings that we can attend to. Right? You just go on the street and you will find someone quite easily. But what we need to see is that, you know, that self-cherishing mind is that nagging mind inside, worrying whether I'm going to get what I need or not. Somehow we find it very difficult to turn that one off, right? Because somehow we have the feeling I have to keep thinking in order to get what I need and not get what I don't want. I need to keep thinking, right? How do I going to get tomorrow that ice cream? Where is my space that I'm going to get some ice cream? Well, maybe, right? And the mind is busy doing that. Having that mind in itself is a burden. It's not a relaxed mind. It is a mind that is constantly worrying, worrying, worrying. That mind is not a guarantee that you're going to get what you want. Not at all. Right? Often when we forget about the ice cream, suddenly the ice cream appears. Right? But when we keep thinking about it, oh, this shop is closed and oh, here is nothing and can't find it. And but when we don't think about it, oh, suddenly it's there. Right? But the mind that is worried is itself a burden to have. And it is not a mind that is successful in bringing you what you want. This you really need to see. You know, it doesn't help you at all in getting what you want. It doesn't have that capacity. That mind is not clairvoyant. That mind doesn't have any special qualities that makes that whatever it wishes for is going to appear. Right? That self-cherishing mind doesn't have that. It is a deluded mind that cannot see the nature of reality. So what to do? Focus on other sentient beings. Focus on their happiness. See that you forgetting about what you need is not going to make that you don't get what you need. Right? This is often what we believe. Oh, I have to keep remembering, otherwise who's going to take care of me? Trusting that when you take care of the needs of others, that your needs are taken care of. Right? And you have to do that. You don't have to do that from one day to the other. You do that slowly, slowly. If we think about karma, you know, what is the best way to get an apple? The best way to get an apple is to give apples, right? When I give apples away, I create a karma that apples are going to come to me. So if I think, oh, where do I going to get an apple? Where do I going to get, you know, I have to make sure that I'm going to get an apple. When you give apples to others, you can be sure that apples are going to come to you. right? Because you create a karma. We think, for me to get an apple, I have to go to a shop and get it and buy it and make money. And, you know, the attachment is there. I need to do that with my attachment to get an apple. But what you really need to do to get an apple is create the karma for an apple to come to you. And how do you do that? By giving apples. Right? And we can apply it to everything. If I want ice cream to come to me, I should. So next time.
No, it's the other way. You have to give us all.
Yeah, next time he can come.
That's why
For your sake.
That's why I offered actually to do
Bodhicitta will have it.
I also get it.
You know, when we feel like I need something, you know, oh, I need to be loved, you know, I need to be loved. You know. Then I become very needy, right? And I walk everywhere around and I want everyone to say something nice to me and something positive. And even when they do, I don't really feel it. So I have to say it again and again and again in order. But do I really feel loved when I do that? Not really, no. It's not really touching me where I want to be loved. But if I feel like, oh, I want to be acknowledged, you know, what would happen if I start acknowledging others? Acknowledging others, right? If I say I have that need and that need is not fulfilled and that really hurts, you know, may other people also have these needs. And other people's needs are also not fulfilled. So what if I start fulfilling their needs? And then you see the happiness when you fulfill other people's needs. Right? Then you become happy. Then maybe already problem is gone. Right? Or you create the causes for that to come back to you. Right? So how do I get what I need? You create the causes for it. Giving it to others. Right? What is the best motivation? So that the most merit ripens when you do it with the Bodhicitta motivation. There's no better way to getting what you need than generating the Bodhicitta motivation. Amazing, no? And so when we have done Bodhicitta, and first of all our afflictions are gone, right? Because the afflictions arise in dependence on that self-cherishing mind. So they are gone. Then we become friends with everyone. Right? And His Holiness always says that. When I see people, I just see old friends. And so then when you walk around and you see everyone as your friend, there is no fear for danger. There's no fear for harm coming to you. And when you really have a Bodhicitta motivation, it is also extremely difficult for other sentient beings to even generate the thought, I'm going to harm that person. Right? And there are many stories in the Dharma where they talk about spirits, you know, who harm the meditator. And then the meditator is generating bodhicitta again and again. And at a certain point, the spirits say, but how can we do that? You know, he's all the time working for our sake. He's always thinking about us. How can we harm him? It's like, becomes difficult, right? If somebody's really kind to you, we cannot harm that person. True? Yeah. Yes. They're people pleasers, right? Yeah. So people pleasers give a lot, but they don't receive. And then they suffer from that. And why is nobody giving it to me?
They are on track. They just want that result.
Yes. So the motivation of the people pleaser, what is that? To get validation, for instance, right? So they don't have a bodhicitta motivation. They have a selfish motivation, right? They appear as givers and also, oh, such beautiful heart, and they give. And I mean, I was people pleaser, right? So I know how it feels. And you give and you give and you give. But actually, the reason why you're giving is because you want validation, because you are afraid to be rejected if you don't give, because all kinds of reasons coming from the self, coming from fear, right? So that's not bodhicitta. It's just their method to find a way to cope. It is their method to find a way to get what they need, right? But it doesn't work. Yes, the motivation. Yeah. Yes. That's not the only difference, but that's the main difference. Yeah.
Like, to the people who give, they want more and more, and then only give up to a limit.
So the Bodhisattva not, they keep giving. So it is not that in order to become to be a good Bodhisattva, we have to fulfill all the wishes of others. That's not the case, right? It's not that when for instance, we talk about the perfection of giving. It is not that in order to achieve the perfection of giving, that I have to eliminate all the poverty in the world. And that I have to make sure that there are no more beggars and that everybody has enough. That's not the perfection of giving. The perfection of giving happens in my mind, right? How do I give? The perfection of giving is not to solve all the problems in the world, right? So it is about your giving. It is not about, or they are in need, I give them something. They are not in need, I don't give them. You give because you want to perfect your giving, right? So you're not looking at, oh, they should have enough. The nature of sentient beings is that they don't have enough, right? And we can give them all worldly pleasures again and again and again, but they never have enough. So it is not that they should be satisfied and then we are doing a good job. Yeah. So with bodhicitta, everyone becomes, yes.
Like, what do you mean by we are giving to perfect our giving?
Yes. So when we are a bodhisattva, then we start engaging in practices like giving, right? We instead of the self-cherishing mind that wants to take, right? We give to others. We give, and we want to perfect giving. We want to perfect the way we give things and what we are giving, right? But how do we perfect that? Do we perfect giving by eliminating all the poverty in the world? No, we cannot eliminate the poverty from the world, right? So the perfection of giving happens in my mind. It is determined by my motivation, by the way I'm giving, by the way I dedicate my action of giving. That determines whether I have fully developed the practice of giving, right? So the question was, what if I give, but the people are never satisfied? So that's not the purpose, to make people satisfied, because we cannot. The nature of samsara is that people are not satisfied. Right? We give because we want to develop our mind. And if, yes, let's leave it like that. if we have time in the last session, we will talk about how we practice. Yeah. So with the bodhicitta, we become friends with every sentient being. We destroy all external enemies, and which means that we are protected from harm in the world. Right. So that is one of the concerns of our self-cherishing mind. Who's going to protect me when my anger is gone? Right. Bodhicitta is going to protect you. Because you become so lovable, you know, everyone wants to be with you, everyone wants to give you things, and people cannot harm you. And when they do, you know, then you have a very, very strong karma. And when you have received harm as a bodhisattva, you transform that immediately into benefit. You know, it's like you don't even perceive it as a harm.
How come it benefit?
Huh?
How come it be perceived as a
So, for instance, Lama Zopa, he had a stroke in, I think, 2014. And I think he felt like something attacked him in his mind, kind of a spirit. So he had a stroke. After the stroke, he could not lift his arm anymore, right? He was laughing in the hospital. I cannot do anything with this arm. Laughing.
Even his foot had got twisted.
Sorry?
His foot.
And his
or
foot,
left?
yes.
I forget which foot.
The right one.
It got right. So it got twisted.
Yeah. He had a how you say that? Hemiplegia. Right. So the right arm and the right foot were damaged or were affected by it. So how to use it for the benefit? You know, he just said, okay, some karma. So good for my self-cherishing mind, right? Because the self-cherishing mind would say, oh, my arm, you know, but he says, ha, 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 my arm. He says the opposite, right? Then he was going to get therapy.
Then he was laughing, always happy.
He was always happy, always
Yes,
laughing.
always laughing.
He was laughing. Look at my self-cherishing mind, what he has caused me to have.
He was
You know?
happy all the time.
He was happy all the time. And then they would give him therapy and they would take him in the water, you know. But Lama Zopa didn't care about the therapy. He didn't listen to the therapy. He walked in the water. He was constantly blowing on the water, blessing all sentient beings who would come in the water. Right? So he used that opportunity to be of benefit. He never one time thought, oh, what about me? Never. Right? So even when harm occurs, still you transform it into benefit. How can I be of benefit when this happens? Right? It's an incredible mind.
His cough went away.
His cough went away.
His speech got more powerful.
And his speech was actually better after. I mean, his right hand, right? If you have, I was a physio before I became a nun. I have never seen anyone with such an incredible motor skills in a hand after having gone through such a stroke. Never, ever. Normally, so the hand can become very sloppy or it becomes spastic, right? So his one was sloppy. At the end, he put a brush in it. He would paint, you know, the eyes of the Buddha, tankas. It's like, how is that possible? How is that possible? It's incredible. Incredible. And so when we have bodhicitta, then bodhicitta is actually the only way to go if we are serious about getting enlightened. Right? I want to get enlightened. No, but bodhicitta is too difficult. This is not going to happen. The only way we can achieve enlightenment, the only way how we can fully develop our mind is by generating bodhicitta. No other possibility. Once we have generated bodhicitta, you know, then success is definitely going to come. So we always talk about the two wings of the bird, right? In order to achieve something, we need wisdom and we need method. The wisdom that we need is the wisdom realizing emptiness. We need that in order to become free from samsara. Bodhicitta, if I realize emptiness without bodhicitta, then what I will achieve is I'm gonna achieve nirvana. I will be in the peace of nirvana. So they say when we generate bodhicitta, then we prevent the extreme of peace. We counteract the extreme of peace. We cannot enter into nirvana. Nirvana being the place where we just sit to meditate, we cannot. When bodhicitta is there, it's not possible. So then in order to get, oh my gosh, it's already 8 o'clock. I can't believe it. I don't know why the chat doesn't, oh, there it is. Just let me look at the questions quickly. What do? I don't know how to go there. I'm in there, but I can't scroll. I have to click it. Motivation and aspiration. The same, I think, yes. Motivation is the intention that we have. And it is said that the mind of enlightenment has two aspirations. One aspiration is the wish to attain enlightenment, and the other aspiration is the wish to be of benefit to all sentient beings. The main aspiration is the wish to be of benefit to sentient beings. And then the next one is, how can I be of benefit to all sentient beings? Only when I achieve enlightenment. So therefore, I will achieve enlightenment. Excellent for difficult people at the workplace. Okay, cool. Could you please lead us on a guided meditation practice on bodhicitta? Maybe in the comment, I'll think about that. I think we need to know a little bit. Maybe it's midnight, first time, but I have been listening to the recordings. Hi, Samya. Wonderful. So I may have not be able to stay up as I've been in the hospital. So why don't you ask the question in the chat, Samya?
I just did. I've been typing. It's there if you want, or I can ask it.
Can you come and help me? Oh, there it is. Oh, it is. Yeah, please ask it.
So I'm listening, and I have I was listening to that bit about, you know, we're working to perfect our own giving, and
Yeah.
I understand it on one level, I think, but on another level, I think, I'm not so sure I'm doing that, because I'm more interested in the fact that I can't relieve the suffering of my friends. And I don't mean in terms of making them happy or giving them ice cream or, you know, giving them what they need, but more in the context which I've written about of, I have two very close friends. They're from Kherson in Ukraine, and I'm watching them go through incredible suffering, of course. And my attempts to be present, to listen, to understand their pain, to try and offer food or comfort or whatever I can, they're so in their pain, understandably, and so suffering and so angry that they're more and more isolating, and it just breaks my heart because I seemingly can't do anything, and even the question of, you know, how are you is a stupid question, and I've just been in hospital, and you know, I was actually potentially going to die, and they came, and the first thing my friend said when she came in was, oh, if this was in Ukraine, there'd be 16 people in this room. And, you know, I'm there and I'm cold and it's -4 and I only have 2 blankets and I'm very sick, and it's not a competition. But even in that, I'm thinking, oh my God, you know, I have a bed, I have access to medicine. I'm actually not getting treated so well. But, you know, like in comparison to what their suffering is, it's completely different. So I guess I'm finding this really hard, this harder level of suffering. I guess we can say all suffering is suffering, but you know, in a actual, in the moment, that's, you know, true and not true. So it's much harder, I think, to deal with these kind of situations, and I'm finding it really, really hard, really hard. So if you can offer anything around that, I'd be so grateful.
So first of all, before I go there to what you would like to know, you know, when we talk about generating bodhicitta and wishing all sentient beings to be free of suffering, what we are, our aim is to eliminate all sufferings for sentient beings, which means that we want to, that we have the capacity to show them the way to their liberation from samsara. In order to be able to do that, we need to develop our own mind. We need to become enlightened ourselves first, you know. So when we talk about, I want to liberate people, I want to liberate sentient beings from suffering, we're not talking about just the suffering of pain. We are talking about the suffering of cyclic existence, the suffering of the bondage due to karma and delusions. So that goal is, I don't know what to say, more deep, more long-term, you know. And when we generate a mind like that, we have to come to a conclusion, you know, oh, but what am I talking about? Liberating all sentient beings. I don't even know how to do anything for myself, you know. I'm quite in a pitiful state, and I need to develop my mind before I can do anything that has an effect on sentient beings. So we can also see how powerless we are with respect to liberating sentient beings from all their suffering. We don't have much to give at the moment, the way we are. So that, with respect to what we are actually talking about when we talk about generating bodhicitta. Then thinking about the misery in the world, you know, oh yeah, we're listening to bodhicitta motivations, but then we have all these intense sufferings that your friends are going through, that you are going through, that so many beings in this world are going through, and we cannot do much, right? We cannot do much. And so sometimes the pain is so big that we don't even dare to say, how are you? Because you know that people are in pain, right? So saying, how are you, is almost insulting, like, well, yeah, what else do you expect? Right? You cannot get the answer, oh, I'm good, you know, that you maybe want to hear, but it's not going to happen. So we cannot do much, not much in relation to others, but what we can do is we can do prayers, right? And we can pray for them and wish them to be free of suffering. And we can wish them to find, I think when you talk about Ukraine, we just pray that they find freedom of suffering and that they find protection, that they're not going to be killed, that they will find everything they need in order to survive. You know, you can send them prayers like this, right?
Yeah, I do that. I do that, and I do have that perspective around it. I guess as I'm listening to you, I think it's my own sadness of knowing that that they're in this and
Yes.
that they're
But it is
hurting so much.
they're
Yeah.
hurting so much, but it is also our helplessness of not being able to do anything, right? That creates a lot of suffering. It's
Well,
like your friend is
yeah.
there, your friend is suffering, and you cannot do anything about it.
Yeah, I can only do it from that place that you're talking about. And I guess that's, you know, they might be in this for a long, long time, and then that's all I can do, you know. So
That's all you can do, but it is not just, oh, that's all I can do. Like, oh, it's actually nothing, but that's right. I hear a little bit like, oh, that's not much, that is all I can do. But it is a lot when you do that, actually, you know.
yeah.
It helps you to come out of your powerlessness. You know, it gives you some way to direct that energy that you have that wishes to help. It helps you to direct that energy. And I think that makes you less helpless in the situation. You know, when we can do something, even if it is just wishing, you can visualize them to be free of suffering. You can visualize them getting everything they need. That's very, very powerful. Then if you
I do that. I do that. And even when I was in hospital and she said that, I didn't take it as, oh, you know, I took it as, yes, I wish that 16 Ukrainians could be in this hospital and have medicine and have this bed. I wish that all those people could have food and safety. You know, I wish that my friends could not suffer with the losses they're facing and the anger that they have.
And you visualize them like that, you know, you visualize them like that. And you should not underestimate the power that that has.
And then I guess I need to do that for myself, for the sadness that I feel in the, you know, the relativity of the actual everyday of that's right in front of me, you know, and in the body, it's not abstract and far across the sea. It's like right there in my relationship. So, you know, that kindness to myself, that, you know, a loss in a way, that's my loss of them in a way, to that sadness that they have.
So it is much harder to connect with them on the level that you are used to. I think, you know, they are so disconnected because of their suffering. They try to protect themselves, and so you need a connection, and you cannot find that at the moment. So then you are gentle with yourself, you know, because you feel that loss. But when the situation changes, that also might change again. But this is when suffering happens, you know, we get disconnected. We disconnect to protect ourselves. And your friends are doing that, obviously. And you may be also doing that. And then we feel the loneliness and the aloneness and the separation. So then you have to take good care of yourself in that.
Thank you. It's a big conversation, but thank you for you know, talking about it a little bit. Maybe it's helpful for other people as well.
I'm sure. Yes, people are nodding here. Thank you. So the next class, somebody's asking. So we have on Sunday, we have a full day from 10:30 till 4 o'clock on compassion for self and others, which is different from the Bodhicitta teachings, but it is strongly connected, right? So, and then next Monday and Tuesday, we continue the teachings on Bodhicitta starting at 6:30 p.m. Okay, that's for SK. I still haven't gone to the equanimity. Sorry.
10:30 in the morning.
Huh? 7:30 and 6:30 in the evening.
To the switch return there.
Sure.
Okay.
There are actually different return prayers. I asked. This is not the correct one, but we can do it. People online, do they have it?
We have circulated it earlier.
Yes, and then it should be put up. You had another question? Yeah.
So I'm confused. Personal liberators meditate on wisdom of emptiness.
So those who go for personal liberation, they meditate on emptiness. Yes.
Then the ones who go for Buddhahood, they meditate on the wisdom of emptiness.
And the ones who want to go for Buddhahood, they meditate on both the wisdom, realizing emptiness, and bodhicitta.
And then I've also learned about the Shamatha meditation. There's also a meditator there. So is that completely separate practice, and who does that? Or how is it?
So then where does the shamatha practice come in? Right, so the shamatha practice is needed to realize emptiness. So both the individual, the one who goes for individual liberation and the one who is going for Buddhahood, they both need shamatha in order to achieve, to realize emptiness directly.
Is that the object of meditation? The wisdom of emptiness and the bodhicitta through the Shamatha?
No, it's not like that. So when we meditate, we need two things. We need a motivation, and then we need, which is the method, and then we need the wisdom, right? So the wisdom realizing emptiness is the same in both vehicles. In the lower vehicle, there is also a motivation. It is the motivation to become free from the sufferings of samsara. Bodhicitta is to free yourself and all sentient beings from the sufferings of samsara. How do you do that? By becoming enlightened, right? So the motivation, there is both a motivation, and then both have the same realization of emptiness. Then you have to say, how do I realize emptiness? Maybe I can talk about that next time, because that's quite extensive. If I need at least 5-10 minutes, and they want us to read the prayers, and then is that okay? Yeah, there is kind of an order that you have to talk about, and if I'm going to talk about it now, it's going to be so messy. Is that okay? Okay. All right. So we have so on Sunday is a full day from 10:30 till 4 o'clock, with a 1.5 hour break from 12:30 to 2 o'clock. So 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. Can somebody put up the prayers for the people online? Oh, they're putting it. Okay, 15 seconds. And then, so what we're going to do is we're going to read the prayer for a quick return from Lama Zopa Rinpoche. No, it's not coming. So we can dedicate, I'll say another few dedications. We can dedicate by thinking, due to the past, present, and future merit accumulated by myself and all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and other sentient beings. May Bodhicitta arise in my mind and in the minds of all the members of my family and all other sentient beings. And may the bodhicitta that already has arisen in our minds only increase more and more. Sagar, that's not really screen sharing what you're doing.
I think
It's coming in the chat.
it's in the back. Yeah,
It's in the chat.
in the chat.
But how can people see that?
They can see it.
They can see. Really?
You didn't tell them that it's there on the chat.
So in the chat, there is, but it is upside down. They have to read like this. Huh? Can you hear? Yeah, okay.
They'll have to zoom if they.
They have to zoom, but can they see it now? Or you have to share this?
No, they can see it.
They can see
Yeah, they
it.
can see
Oh, okay. So then, due to all the merits of the past, present, and future, may Lama Zopa Rinpoche swiftly return to this planet and be of greatest benefit to all sentient beings. And so to give that prayer a little bit more power, we will read the request for the quick return of Kyabje Zopa Rinpoche. Lama, you know, I beg you to listen to me, gentle root Lama. I appeal to you with a sudden desperate request. Do not deprive us of your compassionate refuge. Lama, you are the blessings of the Buddhas of the 3 times. Even though you are now in the great pervasive bliss of the unobstructed sphere of clear light, it is now that we need your great compassion. Quickly emanate the supreme body of the transcendental wisdom emanation from the various emanations of the dance of the great compassion of the supreme mind. Arise, rise, return from the sphere of the Dharmakaya. I invoke you, I invoke you, I invoke you for the sake of beings. Do not remain in the pure land of Dakini and other pure lands. Please return at once to make the scriptural and realization teachings flourish for the sentient beings of the world to the south. Come back right away, because the desperate beings are kind and are desperately calling you. They want to see you. They want to be blessed in body, speech, and mind. We are the sentient beings hallucinated and confused by the conception of ignorance in the sphere of the luminous emptiness of the 3 supreme bodies. We confess the samayas that we have degenerated. Let there be the auspiciousness of emptiness and compassion, the supreme auspiciousness of all auspiciousness. Let there be the auspiciousness of the quick meeting of the disciple and the Lama. By the power of the truth of unchanging reality, may the perfect reincarnation quickly appear. I, the Dakini with pure faith and sorrow and weeping and despair, due to the blessings of the 3 roots, may the wishes of this beggar be fulfilled. Object, subject, and action in the sphere of the reality of luminosity and bliss. Ah. And then we can also think, may His Holiness the Dalai Lama's life be stable, and may his holy wishes succeed immediately. May all our Gurus' lives be stable, and may their holy wishes succeed immediately. Due to the past, present, and future merit accumulated by myself and all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and other sentient beings, may I be able to offer benefit as vast as space itself to all sentient beings and to the teachings of the Buddha, just as Lama Tsongkhapa was able to do, by developing all his holy qualities within myself in this and in all future lifetimes. Thank you so much for being here. And I hope to see you on Sunday, 10 o'clock, 10:30. I'm just cutting this off. Just give me 1 minute, right? So Sunday, 10:30 Indian Standard Time. And otherwise, if you can't do that, on Monday, 6:30 Indian Standard Time. Take care. How do I disconnect?
Sister.
Can somebody disconnect the video?
You can't eat it.